Welcome to this episode of Salt, Pepper, Oil. Today we're going to show you how to make two versions of pasta. AP and semolina, AP all-purpose flour, pretty standard. You could use a whole wheat all-purpose, it's fine. And then a fine ground durum wheat, which is a semolina. So what we're gonna do here in the old bowl is I'm gonna show you two methods. Most of the time I'll mix directly into a bowl because it controls your ability to control the pasta. So we're gonna stick this on the old board here, tear that guy. So for a stiffer dough, we're gonna do about 150 grams of all-purpose flour and 180 of semolina. So tear this whole, there we go. You see that? 157. All right, now 180 grams. We're gonna also add about 1 gram of salt to this. Tear. Salt, we're gonna put this into a mound on our board. It'll be like a little volcano in a sec. So you're gonna mound this guy right there, make a little divot in it. Next thing we're gonna do is huevos. Look at these buttes. It will be about 3 eggs, but what you wanna do is I'll show you. So for example, cracky, 52. Each egg's about 50 grams or so, depending on if you get consistent eggs or not. It's hard for us to get consistent eggs, but that's the beauty of a little farm fresh thing over here. So 154. We want 148 grams, so it's actually a little bit more. I'm actually gonna use this for the other one. So for the other recipe, the softer one, we're gonna do 148 grams of egg and 10 grams of water. So I'm just gonna add up to 158 in water. And a little bit. Let's do 160. 160 right there. So we're gonna set this aside. For the other one, this guy again. All shells here. So we're looking for about 148 grams, so I'm just gonna use a slightly smaller egg. And the thing is, it's better be a little bit under than over. So if you're at 145, you can add a couple grams of water. 147. See that? 147. That is 1 gram under what we need, but I'm not even gonna add any water. So what we're gonna do here is actually add 10 grams of oil to this and bring the other one back and do, that's 8 grams, 9 grams. We're gonna do 10 grams on this one as well. So that's 20, great. Next thing, add this guy in to your well. So this is the drier one. We got the wetter ravioli tortellini one meased out here. And we're gonna do this in 2 methods. So this is gonna be just a basic board method, and then we're gonna do a bowl method, which I actually prefer because it controls everything. So what you wanna do is kinda take a fork, dropping stuff all over the place. You wanna make sure that your volcano has enough lip around it because it'll start to pour over and then you'll have an eruption, which you don't want. So kind of give these a light whisk in here. Basically, you're just gonna try and start beating it almost like in a bowl. So we'll start to slowly combine as the egg is moving around. The flour will start to slowly combine. And what you kind of want to do is push it up in from the sides, create bigger walls. So at this point, you have a pretty semi-solid dough. So what you want to do is get a plastic bench scraper. These are always great to have. And what you want to do is once the dough is starting to form, it's going to be a lot harder to incorporate more flour into it and get a drier dough. So this is what I call the chop. So you're able to just go through it and get out all your anger on this. You don't even have to see a therapist. Just kind of get in there and chop. And so what you're doing is exposing every piece of surface area of the wetness to the dry flour. So you're able to get dry flour touching as much of the wet egg mixture as possible before you start kneading it. All right, so now that there's virtually no flour on the back end of, or on the board, everything's kind of chopped in pretty well. What we're gonna do is start forming this. So bring everything together here. Just work it. I was gonna say start kneading it, but I can't start kneading it yet. So now at this point, you can see there's still some dry. What you wanna do is pick up the dryness with the rest of the pasta. And you can also do this in a KitchenAid. I'm just making it really hard on myself today because that's what I do. This is coming together. Now, the one trick for these is a lot of you probably have a food saver at home. It's a new popular item. It really helps to vacuum seal this dough to compress all the layers. So as you can see, like I can kind of rip this apart, and it would be very hard for me to let this dough rest and then try and roll it out. So what you want to do is actually compress all the layers together so any residual moisture absorbs the extra dry flour spots. So knead it as much as you can. And then you're also gonna be folding it later. You're gonna be doing layers on it. So get this guy all done up, let it rest for about 15 minutes, throw it in a bag, put it in your food saver, and vacuum seal it up. Just do it in a tight ball, but you wanna make sure you let it cool a little bit before you're vacuum sealing it. So we're gonna go on to the next dough, let this guy rest. Kind of do another well in here. I don't know. So you're gonna pour all your wet stuff in here. What you wanna do is something really stiff. I'm using the back end of a spatula. You kind of wanna just start stirring. Doesn't matter how vigorous you are, the more vigorous the better. But see how everything's controlled? So I'm just kind of shaking the bowl as I'm going. And this will all start to come together super, super fast. And this is an initial start. So what we're gonna do is kind of get this all together like that. And now we're already at the stage that we were at with the other pasta. We are finishing kneading the wetter dough. As you can see, this one's coming together a lot nicer. It's like a lot more of a elastic ball of love, and it's not cracking apart as much as the other one. The thing about fillings, you wanna make sure consistency is right. If you're using something with a high fat content, you gotta think that thing is going to break or melt in the little pocket of pillowy love that you made with the pasta. So you wanna make sure that you have some sort of binder. If you have only cheese in there, it will be a soft filling. So you wanna have maybe some potato in there. Just think about consistency of what you're putting in there. All right, ricotta in. We'll do a little bit of this cream cheese. That'll be a little bit of a stiffener, a little bit of creaminess, velvetiness. We're gonna do 1 whole egg. This is just all eyeball right now, so feel free to experiment with any cheeses you like. Oh, as you can see, it's all like sticking together. I just want to make it in a little bit smaller pieces, because if you leave all the pieces, if you're doing fresh grated cheese, which is the best, you're gonna have a bunch of long pieces in there, and you want these to be small pieces that are kind of circumnavigating through the whole cheese mix. You're gonna take this parchment paper, you clean up after yourself. It's very easy. So we're gonna do that. Do these little chunks. No salt in here, you don't need it. But you can do a little bit of fresh cracked pepper. By a little, I mean a lot. All right, now you're gonna whip this guy real hard. Don't worry about over whipping it. Well, I guess, do you worry about over whipping it? But you're gonna get this guy on high-ish, and you're gonna just let it whip. All right, I did this mix, but as you can see, it's a little lot running. So I'm gonna add a little bit more cream cheese into this because I need a stiffer filling for this application right now. I'm actually gonna throw in some mascarpone in there too. Is that about the same amount of cream cheese? I added the additional amount of cream cheese. I also added about a 1/4 cup of mascarpone. So mascarpone is essentially cultured cream, so it's able to give a little bit of stiffness, but I want it just a little bit thicker. So voila, look at that, beautiful. So we're gonna put this into a piping bag. We're gonna make some agnolottis. If you don't have a piping bag at home, which is most likely the case, use a Ziploc. This is just a poly bag. We're going to take this bad mamma jamma And we're gonna use a spatula, but I have a spoon right now, so we're just gonna use a spoon. Right tool for the wrong job. So get this guy all in there. Fold over the edges of your plastic bag or piping bag so you have a little bit of a clean lip. Once you get a little bit in there, you'll be able to establish a base. Keep it in a container so that way it doesn't go all over the place. We're gonna take it and just spoon this guy in there. Get as much of the air pockets out of this as possible. So you kind of slam it down like this. If you're working with a Ziploc, do the same thing. Hopefully your bag doesn't explode on you. If you're really angry, it probably will. And that's okay. Just get it into another bag. You're gonna take it, get as much of that air out of there as possible. Hold it tight, Ziploc it. I'm gonna heat seal it. Then you're gonna cut about a 1/2 inch hole on this tip. Stick this guy in the fridge until you're ready to use it. So just clean that tip off right there, about 1/2 inch, just like that, so that you get a 1/2 inch outlet essentially out of the bag. I'm not going to show you how to do any of the standard cuts, pasta, the fettuccine, spaghetti, pappardelle, but I do want to show you the difference. That was kind of the goal of this part. So they've been resting for about 20 minutes. I'm gonna pop them out of their bags. What you'll see is that all the layers here, if you get up a close shot, all the layers here, I'll come to you, everything's kind of together. But what you can tell is that's pressing down and that's pressing down. So the difference between softness in the difference of 10 to 15 grams of water in addition to one recipe is a big deal. So this one is what we're gonna use. And this one is the ravioli, tortellini, all that stuff pasta dough. This is your cut pasta dough. You can see the difference between stiffness. But I want to cut them open and show you the inside of them too. So all the layers are together. You'd still see a little bit of dryness in there, which is perfect. You don't want it to be super, super hydrated all the way. This is gonna be it's even harder to cut. So this one's a lot drier, as you can tell. So just the white specks are just residual semolina, and you can see the difference between structure in those two. And like that's me pressing in, that's me pressing in. So the difference between divot is really important. Press it down, make it easier on yourself. And we're just gonna do a very basic roll. I'm gonna be using this old KitchenAid here. So it's the attachment that we have. It's really easy for small batch to medium batch production. So just roll this guy out about 1/4 inch. Soft doughs go through really well, and this is our start right here. The reason I didn't dust this with a lot of flour before is because we're gonna have to fold it, and that'll impede the sticking of the pasta. If you do put flour, just dust it or mist it with some water. So what you're gonna do is, you can see the jaggedy edges are very prevalent. So what you're gonna do is this the first laminating phase. So you're gonna take it, fold one layer over another layer for a decent width and thickness. You're gonna take it, press it down so it's even, and start re-rolling back on the highest setting. And this is where we're gonna start forming the dough into what we want. This is what the Italians call agnolotti. I'm probably saying it wrong or offending somebody, which I apologize for. What we're gonna do is do a center line here of dollops. You can do one straight line, but especially for trying this kind of pasta, it's very hard to crimp and seal those edges to be able to get, if you got one whole line, because you got filling between the edges. So you want to do it, we got that. We're going to do dollops here. So I'm gonna start, and we're just gonna go from the edge here, do about 1 inch or so. And we're just gonna go 1 to 1. We want all these layers to stick together. All right, so just start from the edge, and you're gonna fold over. Fold over, not pressing too much. Just bringing this guy over. All the way, all the way. So you're gonna come in here and form the edges, the centers of them. So you wanna start off with that edge crimped, and you're gonna run your fluted pastry wheel just like that. So you're gonna have this like pillow of love right there. These guys, if the edges are a little bit not pinched together, you want it to kind of look like a openish pillow. Just kind of pinch them together, go through each one. Nice handful of salt. So we got our pan on. We have got 2 minutes on this, so we got a butter sauce to make. You're gonna add your vodka into the pan here. Vodka for Russians out there. Throw a knob of butter in there that I pulled out of the walk-in. So we got this. We're gonna throw a tablespoon of garlic, chopped garlic in there. And we are gonna throw a thyme sprig in here, or 2, for a little bit of flavor. So we're just gonna be stirring this around and letting that butter create a nice thick sauce. This is what they call a Monte, what you call a Monte. That's exactly what you're looking for, a nice thick butter sauce. And you wanna think, you don't want it too loose, because if your pasta is perfectly cooked, you're going to have to reduce a lot of water. So we're gonna take our little spider over here, and we are going to add in our agnolotti into our sauce and give it a nice stir around. So as you can see, that sauce isn't getting too watery. It's like the perfect consistency right there. More salt. A little bit of fresh cracked pepper right over the top of this guy. Super simple. Just grab any kind of spoon, kind of get this tossed together. You want to serve this as soon as possible. So we're actually just going to do a plate to pan. Simple thing, no fancy utensils. Get rid of your thyme, you don't need it. All the rest of this garlic in here and right on top. So we're gonna use some slanted sunflower espelette. This is a really great, oh, we got the phone ringing. Howdy doodle. Call, don't call, no 800 numbers. All right, Quill, I love you, but next time. Fresh grated Parmesan, no Parmesan, Fontina from Ferndale Farmstead. We're gonna take this block right here. We're just gonna do a micro plane shred. And look how beautiful this stuff comes out. It's amazing. I'm gonna top this with some scallions. We're gonna have some triers. That's some damn good stuff. You're not just saying that because we're on camera. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to this channel. We put out new videos every week, and I got 2 more agnolottis that I gotta finish, so peace out. I'm gonna eat good food. I hope you're hungry. I hope you're starving. Order for next week. We got you covered. Bye.